Hello, this is Rick, and welcome to Astral Club. Stop denying your astral projections. Before we get into it, just want to mention that if you'd like to support the channel on Patreon, you can do so. You get advanced episodes on Sunday, a library of downloaded episodes for your podcast app, and a Patreon email where we can talk back and forth. And if you're interested, there's a link in the description. If you'd like private lesson with me to learn how to astral project, I'd be glad to send you some information. And if you're interested, you'll find the email in the description. If there's one thing that I find in common with the lessons that I've given many of the Astral Club members when I have the private lessons with them, is many of them have had projections, but they have found ways to deny their reality. And it just amazes me because I'm dealing with this extraordinary group of people that are all very different, but they're all extraordinary individuals, I've found. And many of them have had astral projections, at least beginning astral projections, if not full-on projections. But because of something, some fact, some symptom that they noticed didn't agree with whatever their preconception was as to what they should be seeing, that they ended up denying the experience. Despite the fact that it may have had all the trappings of an astral projection, a feeling of leaving the body, a full consciousness that you had right before you went to bed, a feeling of moving through the environment, seeing different things, perhaps flying in the air. And maybe even that feeling of being pulled back into your body. But because of one of these things that I'll discuss now, they have ended up denying the experience. One is, I couldn't see my body when I looked on the bed. Well, first of all, that's not something you want to be doing in the first place. Because if you look at your body on the bed for too long, you're just going to end up getting pulled back in again. But there's reasons why sometimes you can't see your physical body. It depends on your own vibratory level. You may not be able to see your physical body based on your current vibratory level. It also might be you slipped in time. That happens quite often. In the physical, we seem to have bought into the idea that the past is no longer occurring, the present is happening now, and the future hasn't happened yet. However, this is a widespread illusion. All time is happening at the same time. And in the astral, that reality becomes very, very visible. And if you're not ready for it, you could end up dismissing what is an extraordinary experience. For instance, many times I've seen snow in July, or I've seen older furniture in my home, or I'll see furniture that may be there in the future. Another thing that often comes up is that people say, I left my body, but my room or the astral, where I am, doesn't look exactly like it's supposed to look. How is it supposed to look, I ask? Well, like the physical. There's no reason why the astral or any layer of the astral has to be an exact copy of the physical. Now, the lowest level of the astral, and I've talked about this before, often is kind of like a funhouse version of the reality of the physical. It's almost like the sun is casting a shadow on a building, and the building is being cast onto a street. And you can make out the different parts of the building, but it seems distorted. That's the lower astral. Now, people who cross over unexpectedly, who don't have a lot of different types of spiritual beliefs, may not notice the differences at first, or they may notice the differences and just be confused by them. However, the lower astral, while it may have some elements or even substantial elements of what's currently in the physical, do not disregard your projection simply because you're seeing something that isn't exactly what's apparent currently in the physical. You may speak with a person, maybe a relative, and then when you return to your body, they don't recall that talk. Well, chances are you weren't actually talking to that person. What you were talking to was a thought form of that person, and you imbued it with intelligence. So it replied much like your relative, say, or your friend might reply. But you're not actually talking to your friend. They can't see you in the astral. Now, I think there are some occasions where perhaps if you're talented enough, you might be able to telepathically communicate with them on some level that is subconscious, that they can't necessarily recall. But that's a little bit more advanced. Some of the other excuses that I hear are, well, I couldn't have been projecting because I didn't see the astral cord. Well, I've looked for the astral cord and I've seen it on a number of occasions. And to me, it looks more like a loosely bundled series of fiber optic, very thin cables, more than a solid cord. But it depends once again on your vibratory level. You won't always see the cord. However, when it's time to go back to your body, you will feel it because you'll feel that tug right before you awaken in your physical body again. Another very common occurrence for me, and I'll explain why it happens, is I will leave my body and I will find myself in my old home where my parents still currently live, in popping up in my own old bedroom. Why does that happen? Well, the astral body is controlled by the will. It doesn't have a brain. It doesn't have neurons. It doesn't have muscles or bones. You need all of that to control a physical body. However, the astral body, all it requires is will. And that will directs where you'll end up. Now, you may have unconscious desires, and they can often hijack your conscious will because of their power. When I was a teenager, and I imagine like many teenagers, I had a sex drive which often took me to places that I didn't originally wish to go to because there was this pent-up desire. And as a young teenager, I had pent-up desire. And that is what propelled me to a variety of places. And that I then had to use my conscious will to redirect myself to where I truly wanted to go. I suspect that habit is a very deeply ingrained way that we astral project. Eventually, when you become very good at astral projection, your subconscious will kick you out just as a matter of habit because it's used to you leaving. And if you haven't left for a while, it'll kind of give you a nudge and then you'll be on your way. But I think that's also why we can explain haunted houses. You have people there who have passed over, and because of whatever desire and whatever habits they had connected with that home, they continue to go through those familiar activities and habits. And that can sometimes cause for a period of time what we call a haunted house phenomena. And I'm just talking about plain haunted houses, now nothing evil or demonic. So that's what I wanted to talk about. Stop denying your astral projections. Stop expecting them to be exactly like or exactly match your physical reality. Because especially as you start rising in vibratory levels, your scenery is going to get more and more different. The astral is a different world. It is a different plane. And therefore, expect various imagery. Keep an open mind and don't dismiss anything out of hand just because it isn't quite what you expected. If you like that, please hit the like button, share it with those of like minds. Subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure that bell is solid so you get notified on Wednesday and Saturday when there's new episodes. And I'll be interested in your questions, comments. Have you had any of these symptoms here, and perhaps when you saw them, you ended up dismissing your astral projection because you saw something that you didn't expect to see? If so, please share it in the comments section. I know I and everyone else would like to read it. And as always, this is Rick, and I will see you on the astral plane.